Welcome to another live stream appointment of today's Communicators. I'm your host, Kris Reichert, and we are multi-streaming right now to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and also to LinkedIn. So I'd like to say hello to anybody joining the live stream today. I'm very excited. I have two very special guests with me in the broadcast studios today. I have with me head of the innovation team for the city of Turin and serial entrepreneur, Nicola Farronato, and also associate professor in entrepreneurship and innovation at the University of Naples, Federico II, Veronica Scuotto. Welcome. Hello.
Hi, Kris. Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get into the discussion. You're both co-authors of the book, Love in the Startup Era. Now, this is really exciting because when I was looking over the book and over the notes and over your biographies, I'm just blown away with, first off, the beautiful concept of this book and with all of your credentials and what you've accomplished, both of you, in your entrepreneurial journey. So let's just start off by saying you've both traveled the world for work. You've studied, you've researched, and you've traveled the world for work, both of you, to most parts of the world. And you have as core values innovation and entrepreneurship. And now you've both co-authored this book, Love in the Startup Era. Now, Nicola, I'll just start with you and I'll ask you why the title Love in the Startup Era?
Well, thank you for the question, of course, Kris, and thank you for hosting us, which is really, really amazing today. Well, Love in the Startup Era, to me, and I think the same to Veronica as well, is, first of all, a good connection in between our journeys. So we are sharing a very interesting background, which is actually created by connecting research, academic research, plus practicing. So creating innovation project, delivering innovative ideas, and of course also starting up companies and new ventures. And we have been lucky enough to travel a little bit in our background in the past few years and visit and live and experience quite different cultures, quite different countries. And the lesson learned, which is also at the base of our editorial project, is actually related to the fact that love is so important for the entrepreneurial journey, what we call the entrepreneurial path, at least for two main reasons. First of all, when you are in front of a startup, or when you are really willing to start a new company, you need to put a lot of love in what you are doing. You really need to love your job because the level of motivation and the level of energy that you need are really great. Second point is also connected with the fact that starting up a company has a lot of impact in your love affairs, in your personal life. So you need to make sure that you are able to protect your love affairs while starting up a company. These, I think, are the key messages that stand behind our initiative.
Beautiful, wonderful. And also, if you think about it, love is really passion. And in business and in really anything that we start to do, that we embark on, any journey, you need to have passion. You need to have that belief. Passion also equates to belief in oneself, belief in the project. When you're passionate about something, that gives you the driving force to go forward with it and, against all odds, to kind of like barrel forward. And so, of course, love is when you're blinded by anything else that's happening around you and you're taken by the strongest emotion that there is out there. And so applying that to business, I love this. So what gave you the inspiration, Nicola, to write this book? I'll be right with you, Veronica, but first, just a couple of questions to Nicola.
So the inspiration, in my opinion, starts from the sharing. So if you look at the startup community, the whole startup movement, which in the last 10 years at least has been creating exponentially in all our cultures, in different geographies in the world, the sharing part is really important. So you share best practices, you share a lot of insights, you share some leadership thoughts, and you share also quite a lot of mistakes along the way. So the sharing part is really the step one of the inspiration that we have got. There's a second very important fact that we have been focusing on the opportunity that, in our opinion, couples have to create new companies. That's quite a different point of view, right? Because you typically think, well, if we are in couple, whichever couple, I mean, we can be lovers, we can be siblings, we can be just father and son. If we are a couple within a love affair circle, well, we typically think about entertainment, maybe doing different things. We rarely think about, well, we could create a startup. So I think that our intuition and our inspiration is based on the opportunity that couples within the love affair circles have to develop breakthrough, innovative ideas, startups.
Let's
Okay.
add another thing. When you think about love, usually you think about love as our rational side. But on one side, that's wrong, because love is also something like the part of our rational side that allow us to comprehend intensively the events. So it's not just something like that lets us to act instinctively, but it also has some rationality behind it. And also, this is another hint that you can find in the book.
Veronica, I'm so happy you're saying this, exactly, because so many people think that when you're in love, you're irrational. You can't make sense of things and you do things without thinking. Whereas instead, there is a specific state of mind that you're in when you are in that state of being in love that is crystal clear. Like you precisely feel in such a very crystallized manner that it's not comparable to any other emotional state. And I believe that, yes, there is rationality in that because you know exactly what you're doing. Every movement is so apparent. I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly, but yes, you said it way better than I did. That's for sure.
Absolutely, yes. That's what's also happened in the business. You think about, so I have a passion to let my dream come through. It's the same for about love. That's also the wonderful match between these two words.
Yes, definitely. And you've also, Veronica, you've coined a new term. Let me just, it's a new hyper word and I love it. Dual career entrepreneurs. I love that. And so you've coined this new term, obviously talking about the two of you or all other examples of couples, you know, people that are in some kind of either family or love relationship that have become, you know, during their entrepreneurial journey have brought together their forces and actually opened up a business together.
Yeah, that's true. So it's not a bad word. So it's very structured word. That's a dual career couple or entrepreneur. Let's specify something. That word was started in academic world before that we explicate in our book. And basically that describe the strong interweaving between love and business. But basically, who are these dual career entrepreneurs? Are people that have very strong family values. They both work in the business. And also the relationship is based on fairness. And on the top of that, they have also the very weak emotional side, boundaries between love and business, of course. And this, the additional part that we give in the book is that also we embedded technologies. And also to add that love, business, and technology support, augment this balance between love and business. That is also the extension or the additional part, if we can say, in our business, the value that we want to transfer to the other people, that also make this balance and exploit the technology to augment their strengths.
Wonderful. Now, I just want to address the elephant in the room because we haven't yet properly said it, but you are both a couple, are you not? And you're both in love?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Actually, we got married last year during the pandemic time.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Okay, wonderful. And how did that take place? You got married. I'd assume that the ceremony was very reduced in numbers and in celebrations.
Yes, it was.
A lot of celebration for very few people.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, love that.
Oh, please,
Sorry.
Kris, go ahead.
No, where did you meet? I would just love to know where you met, where you fell in love, and how you both came up with the idea to write a book together.
I'll let Nicola to talk about it.
All right, so we originally met in Naples, actually for work. We were there at the conference. Then after about 10 years, we met again. So we had our first date after 10 years in Paris, went out for a dinner, and we fell in love. And from that time on, we've been living for about 1 year in Paris, where the original idea and vision of the book started. Then we moved due to personal and business circumstances back to Italy, to Turin, where we live today. And we have written and developed the book project here in Turin. So I would say that the idea started in 2019 while moving from Paris to Turin. And we've been finally publishing just a few days ago.
Wow, wonderful. Now, I noticed, and I've read the surveys on married couples or couples that have gone through this pandemic together and that were maybe stuck in quarantine together. And I know that for a fact in Italy, divorce rates have peaked because people are talking about how they're not accustomed to spending so much time together. And so there's this kind of unwritten rule that often says, you know, as a couple, you shouldn't start a business together. And you both instead are a beautiful example of the exact opposite. And you're promoting, if anything, the idea to utilize the love towards business and to flush those emotions into a business because it will flourish if there's that passion of love in the mix. Am I right?
Yeah, totally right. But I think also that in some way we are also complementary. As you said at the beginning, when you just introduced us, I am the academic side, he is the practitioners. So we tend to combine both, and that also is our outcome. So the book, we just enjoyed writing the book, was like our hobby. It wasn't like a work, but it was just in our spare time, dedicating to our book, to something that you love. And then so we did. That was very enjoyable. It was also painful. We have to also admit it was also sometimes very painful. But at the end, we are very happy for that.
Wonderful. So it was painful because it was grueling. Like it was a lot of, it was joyous writing the book. I understand it didn't feel like a job. You know, it was never like, oh, I've got to go write some more of the book. It was something you enjoyed doing. And, we all know that when we can love what we do in terms of work, then it's a win-win situation. But I can imagine that getting deep down and really discovering and going through the process together at times was tiring and grueling, I can imagine. So were those the hiccups along the way? Those were the challenging aspects?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Also because you need to combine working time with this enjoyable time. But even there were also the boring part of writing a book. So perhaps the structure, so the editorial aspect, features, all of this stuff that sometimes are a bit boring because you would like to feel free writing whatever you want. But on top of that, in the way that you want, but you need also to follow a structure. And also sometimes there were also some contrasts between Nicola and myself, but at the end we got the deal.
Excellent. And how did you structure the book? Because I can imagine getting all of the references and all of, those were the boring aspects, but how did you choose to structure it? Because I noticed there's a beautiful long introduction. There's a preface written by, and I actually, who is the name?
Darin Bifani. Yeah.
There we go.
He's a friend of mine. And can you imagine he's living in a mountain village north of Santiago in Chile. So this book, we have decided to put a world map in one of the initial chapters of the book, just to mean that a number of people we met on our journey have been contributing with their stories, with their insights, and eventually with different opinions. Because as Veronica was saying, I just pick up an anecdote from her, since cultural diversity is also at the base of creating something innovative, I suppose. So we don't have to worry about cognitive conflict, but rather go through it and try to give value at the common opinion, at the diversity, and shape the outcome and the ultimate results with love. Because again, it's about passion, it's about energy, and it's about seeing the positive side of the problems sometimes. You have mentioned pandemic, lockdown. So the positive side is that you have some extra time free to develop new projects. So why don't you take this opportunity?
Exactly. I want to write down what you just said, the cognitive differences, I suppose. It's
conflict. Cognitive conflict, yeah.
Cognitive conflict. And instead of putting fire underneath the cognitive conflict, you put love into it and understand that there is beauty and diversity. And that's how you overcome your obstacles when writing a book together. Oh my goodness, that was wonderful. Yes. I wish that there could be more talk of this, so many people need to know this. So Veronica, let me ask you, who do you hope to inspire by this book?
Yeah, I hope a lot of people. But specifically, we think of, that I'm an academic. So I thought about my students, because I have been teaching entrepreneurship for several times, and also helping out young student entrepreneurs to become actually an entrepreneur. And I would like to transfer this love, passion. So I think that they should follow their dream or the idea to become an entrepreneur, and also take with them the love for family, the love for, brother, sister, or of course for the partner love. And we also would like to inspire or actually attract a consultant, because if you think about love is the emotional, this as emotional pattern is always commented or discussed in a family business. But why not discussing that also in non-family business? Even consultant can look into that, because sometimes we just look into the economical feature of a company, but sometimes we need to look into the non-economic aspect of a company. And I think the book gives this something of flavor, because there is the academic side. So as you say, there are references. So we cited authors, but although that, there are also some practical tools, some practical exercise that perhaps you can try on with your partner and see if there is a balance in between both in your working life or in your private life. There can be also when you are doing a consultancy for a company, and you can see if there is this balance. But let me specify another thing. When we think love, it can be love with your partner, of course, but it can be also the love with your brother or sister with who you are building up your business. So love, for instance, with your dad, if you are running the business with him. So love has different nuances. And I let the reader interpret and actually absorb his own meaning of love.
Wow, very interesting. My brother and I actually founded a startup company. We have an app, and it's called Cool Date Night, and it is designed for couples that would dedicate one night a week on their date night. And we supply questions, we generate questions so that we can bring about healthy communication and create a consistent curiosity within couples, so that you always learn new things about one another by asking each other these fun and thought-provoking questions. But I found it was a bit challenging having a business with my brother, mainly because I live in Italy and he lives in Canada. And so for the communicational aspects, it was a little bit difficult because we weren't necessarily on the same page in a lot of areas, and not being close together, we didn't have the opportunity to really delve in deep and get into discussions and have maybe a team building moment per week where we, say, okay, so are we communicating well on this? Did we do this right? How do you feel we need to move forward? We didn't really have those opportunities. So, but we're still in the business together, and it's still going strong. Nicola, what about all of the interviews in the book? I noticed there was quite a few interviews, quite a few examples of husband, wives, of families, of brothers, sisters, of all kinds of different scenarios of people that have brought their forces together and used love, family love, relationship love towards their businesses. Tell me a little bit about these interviews.
I think that there's a very interesting mix of case studies and histories of entrepreneurs, most of the times couple entrepreneurs, that have been able to really create very successful companies and share all the journey. We typically say that running a startup is like being in a roller coaster, right? You go up and down on this kind of trajectory. So we have decided to pick up those examples which could better interpret in a way the different kind of nuances that we have proposed through the book. So for example, we have a beautiful experience located in Paris, and witnessing how love can be fundamental to raise a family and create a very successful marketing and design agency. We're talking about one of the top and one of the best in Europe. Going through some pain points which are really crucial and important in our life. We have the case and an experience from Ireland with the story of Bismarck, which, by the way, has been a part of my personal experience since I've been developing a startup in Ireland back in 2011, and then going through a very long journey and therefore experience quite a lot of moments being an Italian team who have been creating this company in Ireland. We have a very interesting case of a family startup, a family-founded startup based in Detroit, Michigan. And by the way, at the intersection of a very important technology like the drones technology. So it's really an emerging kind of market. And the interesting fact about this company called Skypersonic is that this family is an Italian family. They moved to Detroit back 10 years ago. And just last week, they have been listed to NASDAQ. So they went public in the most important technological place in the world, which is New York Wall Street. And that's therefore very, very much interesting. And then to complete, we have 3 different and very inspiring stories from Italy, and in particular from Turin. We met them in the last couple of years, and they are really, really interesting. We're talking about a project which is Mama in Soul, focusing moms and newborns in a very special moment of their life. We have a very interesting blog and multimedia project about healthy food and lifestyle. And finally, we have, again, a technological company run by 2 brothers, a brother and a sister, which is really skyrocketing at the moment. It's called Immodrone.
That one is quite similar to you because the brother is based in Turin and the sister is based in Canada. So
really?
they are, yes, it is. That was very, yes, indeed. That's the opposite. Perfect. It's very interesting.
But they're doing great, right?
Ah, yes, very great. So she's
Wonderful.
running the kind of the same business in Canada, and he's running his own business in Turin, and they are doing very well. Actually, he is inspiring her to the business in Canada because she was studying there and then was inspired by her brother to run the business in Canada as well.
Interesting. And so they would incorporate also in Canada.
Yes,
The
indeed.
business.
Yes.
They did already. I think they did already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, our business is actually incorporated in Canada as well. And
Yeah.
I just find that it's very convenient for, for bureaucratical reasons and whatnot. To have, sorry, I was getting a phone call during the last.
We are live.
Exactly.
Yes, on a live
Beauty of
stream.
going live. So yeah, I was, I can't, I lost my train of thought. So we incorporated over there. Oh yes, it's very convenient in Canada for bureaucratical reasons, obviously, to have a business over there as opposed to opening it up here in Italy, where it's not so convenient for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
We are catching up.
Let's keep it. Let's keep it.
Now, one quote that was in the introduction that I really, really loved is love in business is a language. Now, I often talk about the language, in communication. Communications is my core value, my core business, because I am a video communications coach. And so I talk to people a lot about how communication is a basis for any healthy business, healthy relationship, healthy anything. If you don't communicate effectively, then things pile up, things can get misunderstood, and havoc can be go wild. So I particularly love this quote because love in business is a language, and if you speak the language of love in your business, you are destined to thrive because that is the most common language spoken on the planet, and the most understood language is the language of love. What would you both say about that?
I'll tell you
Ladies
that,
first.
yes, I'll tell you that I agree with you. So when you communicate, you transfer your passion, your love in what you are doing, in your work, in whatever. So the love is is a part of the language, is a part of the communication, because we need to transfer our emotion. If we are like a robot, how would be our communication? I wanted to show you, if I have a time, I want to show you something that same time you don't need to talk. You just need to look or to watch. But in this case, you just need to look. And I think the image can transfer you some emotion. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Are you going to share your screen and show us an image?
Yes, I would like to share just our the title page, and this one. So look at that. There are 2 people coming together, and these are stairs. So it's also something like can be a challenge to scale up these stairs. But when you get there, you achieve something, and that achievement, you need also to communicate that achievement. Otherwise, it will be just your achievement. And that is the part of the love, the combination of the love with what is around you. And if you look at that image, you can just stand up and or stare it and think of something. Think of yourself, think of your future, think of where you would like to be in the future. I think that is an image. You were talking about language, but we can say that the language is communication with no verbal communication. And sometimes we just need to be in silent. And I think the love will also will transfer, so will be transferred to other people. So just look at the eyes of each other.
Wonderful. Yes, absolutely. Because oftentimes love is nonverbal. I mean, you can just sense there's a certain vibration that you sense, and when you're putting that intention into even a business practice, there is something that is definitely transmitted, most definitely. Wonderful. I wanted to ask you, Veronica, about the Journal of Organizational Behavior. You released an article in the Journal of Organizational Behavior, and in 2020, it was awarded as the 10th most cited article. Now, that is I just find it fascinating. Now, what is the Journal of Organizational Behavior? What does it talk about? And I know this isn't exactly about, but I'm just fascinated.
This is, completely my academic environment. Well, okay, that's perfect. So it talks about the behavior in the organization. So in that specific case, we studied entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs in two different countries. One was in Italy and the other one was in the UK. And we were analyzing their behavior within a company. The Journal of Organizational Behavior actually is one of the top academic journals. So, and I would say it's mostly read by academics, unfortunately. But it is very interesting to understand what is going on outside, because usually I say that we do research. We academics sometimes can be boring. I know that we do a lot of research, but we also need to communicate, as you said, our research. Otherwise, it is just something that is limited among academics. But we need to communicate with practitioners and say what we have found it. And also another important aspect, to understand if they can apply our model. Because so we tend just to produce theoretical model, apply that on the real world, but also we need to suggest that theoretical model to those practitioners.
Yes, definitely. And behavior, if anything, as you studied the different behaviors in different countries, behavior is also a strong form of communication, because in communication, we convey messages through nonverbal body language. And so in our behavior, I was just interested in the correlation between the two. Nicola, I called you a serial entrepreneur in the beginning of the live stream, mainly because you have founded so many different startup companies. And you mentioned earlier the startup company in Ireland, Be Smart. And also there's Back to Africa that you founded here in Italy, and also VCNY. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey with the different startups as well?
Yes, sure. Well, I, first of all, I'm an entrepreneurial native, because I actually was born in the northeast of Italy, in a very small village called Bassano del Grappa. And this region in particular, if you look at statistics, is a very rich region of entrepreneurial families. So although my family is just partly an entrepreneurial family, I got this instinct, I think, in my DNA. So after after starting my career as an SME, small and medium business manager, I fell in love completely with starting up new projects. So not necessarily a new project is a startup, right? It can be just a temporary project. It can be an event. It can be something that is starting small and scaling up. So the case of Back to Africa is a very interesting case, which was born in 2006. And that's a social entrepreneurship project. So a project not for profit, which is aiming to generate resources, which in this case are cash resources, so financial resources, to invest in poor countries in Africa, and in particular towards kids which are less lucky than us, for example. So in over 15 years of work, we've been raising close to 1 million euro in resources, and we've been donating and building a number of projects in Togo and Benin, thanks to such a very small countries in the African Horn. And we've been hopefully delivering some smiles to some of the kids over there. On the other hand, I've been developing also a destination marketing project, which is called VCNY. VCNY stands for Venice Chinese New Year. So we're talking about something completely different. And I've been developing this project while we were living in Paris, by the way. So 2018, before the pandemic, just trying to develop a program of marketing activities for Chinese millennials traveling to Europe. We need to observe that we have a lot of Chinese students in Europe, for example. So we've been developing just the first side of this project with the Venice region. It has started very well. Then pandemic came, but we are really looking forward to be back, hopefully next year, and continue this journey.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Well, you're both incredibly, oh, wow, this has been such an insightful conversation. Your core passions are definitely in innovation and entrepreneurship. You both teach these core passions, and also you experience them firsthand. So I wish you all the luck with this book, Love in the Startup Era. When was it just released, or is it being released shortly? When was the actual release date?
It's already released.
It's available on both Kindle, Amazon, Google Books, and so the main platforms. And if I can just add a little bit, we are starting to roadshow to present the book, hopefully also physically very soon from the next month of June. So we'll be updating in our social media channels the next dates.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Well, I wish you all the luck with your roadshow and with presenting the book and with the sales from your book and inspiring people, essentially, more than anything. Thanks so much, Nicola and Veronica. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. And yes, stammi bene.
Thanks a lot, Kris. Thanks for hosting us.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye to your
My pleasure.
audience.
Okay, bye for
Bye-bye,
now.
ciao.
We'll speak soon. Bye-bye.